Welcome back to the Marketing Madmen. Trip Jib and Nick Constantino here with James and Amar from Wolf and Spirit Cocktail Company, a premium ready-to-drink craft cocktail. And we were talking a little bit before the break about how you're able to provide and what you've done to make this, I guess, experience that most people normally wouldn't get. And I think it's from a chemistry and even understand what they should get.
I think it's a huge point, but before we get to the centrifuge, because I definitely want to hear about the centrifuge, talk about what the end result. Let's work backwards here. So the end result of all of this time-taking process that you've taken, the end result of having a chemist and all the experience you've had, what is the end result you were looking for? What is the end result you got? And then let's work backwards to talk about how you've gotten there, because it's different than the path most people take.
So refined craft cocktails that are influenced by classic cocktails. So classics is there's a reason they're around forever. Right. So that's the base there. So we're taking things that you're familiar with currently.
Old-fashioned Manhattan things, timeless cocktails.
Paloma, whiskey sour, things that you're going to familiarize yourself with. And then we're refining those not only through the spirits we choose to use with those that are going to be the best and most reflective based on their taste profiles, but also with the ingredients that we're using to bring out some new and interesting flavors, some fun, spice it up a little bit.
Sure. So a lot of people have that line, and they say that that's what they're trying to do. Now, talk about how you do it differently. Talk about the science and what goes behind it and the access that you have, that you're doing this such a different approach. Because, again, it's a canned line. Everyone says we're mixing these spirits, we're taking an old thing, and we're retwisting it. Talk about why you're different.
Okay, so everything is dialed in. Everything is 100% handmade ingredients and used and created using the highest quality premium ingredients that we can find. We're not cutting any corners there. Like we are, I aim to be a premium product, and we want to fall in the luxury category. We see that there's some other brands that have really set up the space for the RTDs to now have the premiumization happen. Okay. People are paying for these things, so we're ready to do that. And, so we're creating the ingredients, utilizing techniques and equipment and tools that I had access to and was very fortunate to have had access to, working at the Langham Hotel Chicago with all of their wonderful hospitality professionals that they brought on to set that place up and make it what it was. And at the time, it was the #1 luxury hotel in the country. I mean, this was like, it was such an experience to be able to do that. So, and I'm very fortunate that I got to do that. And so that's how we're recreating these ingredients. We're working with our partners, like I said, rare tea sellers. They're only sourcing the highest quality ingredients. Yeah. Like, for instance, the vinegars that we're using in 2 of our cocktails are imported from France, and they're distilled 11 times. And I mean, it's like nothing you've ever tasted before.
So let's go into that, because I've never even heard of vinegar being used in a cocktail. So I know the acidic profile, I know what you're getting out of it. I know that there's grape components. There's so many different things. So why are you using vinegar? Which cocktail it is? And talk about that cocktail. And let's pour it, because I want to try it.
Naturally.
Now I'm intrigued.
Vinegar is, how do you make vinegar? It's on the shelf. I mean, it's not good. It's shelf stable.
Yeah.
And now you have your citrus, which is going to be the thing that's going to probably oxidize quickest out of anything we're using here. So how do we
it'll expire, right? A lemon on the counter will expire. Vinegar should not, as long as you keep it the right way.
The vinegar is going to be, it's never going to go bad. Yeah. It's going to, I mean,
it almost just revinegarizes itself. It just keeps going.
That's how vinegar is. It's created. Yeah.
So what we're going to do
is go on with the chemistry.
It's just through its oxidative.
So we're going to do the banana date whiskey sour.
Banana date whiskey sour. Okay.
Yep. And so we're using a high rye bourbon.
Okay.
Here.
So it's got some heat on it up front too.
Yeah, and it's got some nice rich caramel flavors, some oak, and really rich. It's a great 5-year-old bourbon. But we're also using a banana liqueur.
Okay.
That is really, really nice. And then we're using the date vinegar. It's called Jean-Marc date vinegar, and it's incredible. It's like a creamy flavor, and you're going to see why we use it here. And we use a very small amount to get what we're doing. And then it's citrus. So it's very simple. We're not complicating things. We're keeping it simple. We're not adding we're adding no extra chemicals or anything like that to make it shelf stable. So I'll go ahead and pour this.
Sure. Yeah, those are not things you hear often, though. Banana and date vinegar in a whiskey sour is just not something you hear often. So that's why, and I understand the flavor profile completely, and I'm excited to have it. But I also understand how,
This is your favorite thing.
that you're going after a luxury and advanced palate with that. Because most people that are looking at the liquor shelf are like, you know what I really need today? A banana and date, and you got the freeze-dried fruits to put in it. And,
Yeah, so these are going to be like, this is how I would, if you're going to be at home, you want to garnish, you want to make it look good. And if you're like me, like I make everything, when I'm making anything for myself or my wife, I make it look like it's, my presentation is most important.
You're a better man than I. I put some ice in a glass and some whiskey and I drink it.
So as part of that, how do you help the consumer understand how to garnish it and finish the drink?
This wonderful video.
Right.
Well, that's how that's what I'm working on with Rare Tea Cellars on, and I package this kind of stuff up by myself. But we're working on putting together kits where you can buy it and you can have your garnishes that will come along with it.
Almost attached to the bottle.
And another thing that's not going to go bad, freeze dried. So like you can take this with you if you're going camping and you want to have a cocktail.
Instant differentiator.
Yeah.
Yep. Instant differentiator.
Also an extensive amount of education, right? A QR code you could just scan. It's going to lead to a YouTube video of him actually making the cocktail.
Yeah, we're going to have our YouTube channel going. We're going to do the cordials as well. So everything that I'm making to go into these cocktails, I would like to create. And if you want to be a mixologist at home and you want to have fun and you want to use those cordials and do something different, or if you have a different spirit that you think would be interesting, we want you to get creative. We want you to have fun with it. Yep.
Like I can tell you right now, automatically, just from the way you pour this, a mezcal would probably go well with this.
Love mezcal.
It would go well with this, just from what you told me.
We actually have a drink with mezcal.
But I'm saying, so that. But
I won a competition with mezcal.
Yeah.
When I first started doing this tequila, I'm like, I don't know anything. I don't know how to make a cocktail with tequila. By the end of it, I was winning competitions with tequila and mezcal. So it's my favorite thing.
But you're doing the education. So in theory, you're almost risking the cannibalization because if they enjoy making this, they're not going to buy your stuff. But you're so about the product that you know you're going to make something better than they are. That you're offering the bartending, the lessons, the product, the garnish that comes with it. Like let's say I'm having a party and I want to pretend I'm fancy. I can just take your stuff, make these drinks, and be like, look what I do.
Well, you'll do that about once. So, because what you'll find out when that happens is like when I had my wedding, I did cocktails, and I ended up making cocktails the entire time. So you're going to do that one time, and then you're going to buy the bottle.
I was the worst DJ. I used to DJ, and then I'd be like, I'm not DJing. I want to go party with everybody. This sucks.
Exactly.
This sucks.
How was that? Your first taste? I saw that.
It's good. It was very good.
Oh my God, it is. The banana is actually smells much more than I thought it would. It even sneaks its way through.
What kind of bothered me about the market in general was relatively simple. I went to my buddy's house. He's a huge, he's a millionaire in Atlanta. Lives off North Side. And I go into his house. He's like, "Hey, what can I get you to drink?" And I was like, "What do you got?" And he's like, "Would you like a high noon?" I was like, "Is that the best you can offer me?" And I was like,
Really?
Is that the best you can offer me?" And I was like, "All right." So there is a market for this where, people who want to have a premium drink and offer it to their friends and families and
I love the bag.
Just,
I love if you serve this with these garnishes attached to it and make it that turnkey, you're automatically stand out on the shelf. And if people go, and then if you have a QR code as to explains why you did that, you're immediately differentiated. And a smart liquor store would put it up front because you're probably charging a premium too, which is what they want ultimately. So I'm in the cinnamon and the banana. I mean, you get a punch of banana, but banana's such a subtle flavor that it doesn't do much.
It's so rich. I mean, every time I have it, and the flavor is. Sometimes you have like I've had some other RTDs, and not that any of them are bad, and everybody has their place, but it's like it doesn't have that. Like I took just a small sip, and I'm still getting flavor right now. So it's like that's great, Then that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
and that's. Yeah. Well, we work so hard to get those flavors right and spend the time to do that.
But they blend together when you try it. Sometimes people give all these different things and they operate on their own. This thing, even from the banana to the cinnamon, and then you actually smell the acid. I know that sounds crazy, but you smell probably because of the vinegar, right? You can get that acid palate on there. So
the vinegar, it's nice and it's creamy. So this is very rich. And then like the cinnamon.
This is one of the richer drinks.
The cinnamon cordial that's in this. This is 3 different types of cinnamon that we're using. That we're running on a sous vide, and we're pulling all these flavors out. But you're getting a complexity to your cinnamon syrup that you appreciate, but you don't even know that it's there. And that's the idea. It's like we don't. It doesn't. It's just good. We just want it to be good. But that those type of things are taking that and making this that much better.
Yeah, I love it. So just on first taste, I mean, you had a market here, right? We're going after a luxury market. We're going after people who are stupid enough to have high noons in their house and think they're impressing people with those things. We're going after people who don't necessarily want to make these themselves or freeze-dry fruit themselves.
Or some of these people don't have time.
Well, they don't have time. So we have a market. Yeah. So let's talk about the market now. So what do you do? It's also a hyper-competitive space. What are the plans to penetrate the market? Let's talk about outside of Atlanta, even Chicago. What do you do to penetrate the market? What does your marketing look like? Do you go with influencers? Are you going to use social media? Obviously, you have PR in place. Talk about what some of the marketing plans are, because as good as the product is to be, you got to get people to try it the first time. So talk about the marketing plans. Talk about some of the strategies that you plan on implementing to get this in people's hands, because I agree with you. I think once you try it the first time, you're going to be a pretty consistent user.
Yeah, so my strategy is an organic one, based on my experiences and with brands and what impacts the consumer the most. And so what I see is doing a tour in any place that we're launching and being present, speaking with people, letting them try it, talking directly with them, and maybe if that means getting ambassadors that will work with us too, so that we can have a further reach. But it's really about getting that liquid to lips and talking about it with people, because once you try it, it's hard to not want to. If you're looking for something like this, once you try it, you're not going to go anywhere else.
I think the old school roadshow.
Yeah, really yes, and I think that's the most. I mean, that's what we were doing with these brands that have been around forever. That's how they're doing it. And then strategic partnerships, obviously, with influential people.
Yeah.
I think that that's important too, and I think that that's down the line, and I think that we're setting ourselves up to be able to do that. But it's just aligning. If we're going to do influencers, it's aligning with the right influencers. You know, we don't want. It's not about just flooding the market and making it crazy. Like,
I think that's the biggest problem. People just go right now. They go to these influencers. They want that initial rush, but then all of a sudden they just go to the next thing, and everyone's moving. Like it was White Claw, and then it was Vizzy, and then it was High Noon, and then all of a sudden you think like 10 years has passed. It's been like a year and a half, and it's already on to the next thing. So how do you build that long-term brand presence? That one's a little harder. And I think you're right. If you approach it by just flooding the market, then all you're going to do is make short-term fans and never look at the long-term. I think you have to be a long-term. But again, it is a very, very busy market, and you saw that from Mo and Hennessy. I mean, there were times where Hennessy lost grounds to other people, and whiskey came out of effect as opposed to Mo. So
the trends are crazy. Like tequila came out of nowhere, and tequila is the category now.
And I've been told that gin was going to come for the past 10 years. I still see no gin revolution. I don't. John's heard me say this. Gin's coming, guys. Gin's coming.
We only see the one where we've got the ultimate marketer, Mr. Reynolds. But other than that,
gin has been much. Behind the bar when everybody behind the bar, that's what we're drinking at gin. I still drink gin, but that's in the community, the professionals, industry professionals, they're drinking gin for sure. Yeah. That's a huge category. But most people, like my mother, they're drinking vodka. And gin is very closely related to that. Sure. It's a neutral grain spirit with botanicals. Yeah, so it's always been there. I don't think you're gonna, and it's popular still. I mean, my grandfather used to carry around a briefcase in the trunk, and every day at 4 o'clock it was happy hour, and there was Tanqueray, martinis, and popcorn wherever they were at. And that's old school, and they were drinking gin back then. So gin's
that's Mad Men, man. That's what we named the show after.
It is crazy.
Wait a second, hold on. Right. But now you have it pre-made and everything, so it's even easier.
This is great.
Back to your point, though, liquid to lips is critical, right? We could have a huge online presence, and we could do everything right in that category. But if we're not out there actually talking to people and provide, like this one drink, right? Let's say you only had this one drink. The quality is there, which makes you think, all right, these guys have 4 other drinks out. I got to see what they're worth. I got to see.
At least I got to try them.
I got to at least try them because of the quality of this one drink that I tasted.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really hard too, right? One of the things I know for the state of Georgia, it is almost illegal to sample. Like you can't even be in a liquor store because they have to have separate licenses. So they have to have a different license to have a store adjacent to it. Like Tower, they can do it because they have a secondary store with a secondary license that they're allowed to sample. They make it really hard in some places to get that liquor.
Crazy. To get that liquor. Like in Illinois, it's a 3-tier system. So like the way that they have to structure things to get things done. Like I never provided a price for anything. I mean, I was in there. I was in those accounts every single day. But when they asked for pricing, I had my partners, my
They had
sales
to,
reps,
because they had to be the wholesale guys or the
distributor
wholesaler.
partners, and
Yeah.
they'll get so that it's just you're working together. It's different in every state. That's what we were just talking about.
It's crazy here. It's crazy here. It's a franchise state. It is hard to move around from distributors. You cannot sample. They make it real hard. And honestly, if I'm being fair, we make quite a living off of it because we learn the nuances of how to do it. So we do events and stuff where we sample.
That's what I was going to say. It's like you hire a catering company that's going to then do an event
that takes on the liquor license. We have a private party. We rope it off. So you're supposed to uphold the 3-tier system. But honestly, I've dealt with all these people. It's freaking taxes, man. Everyone just wants their money, which pisses me off because they're like, dude, I'll cut you a check for those taxes now. I don't care. I don't need to use the 3-tier system because most people just want to sample. They want to get things in people's hands. They want to spread the love, and it makes it so complicated.
You just want to share. I want to show you something great.
It's so complicated. I never understood it.
So how are you approaching Georgia then? What are you thinking?
So this is my first time out here. So that's what I'm out here to do. We're gonna see. So we're gonna meet with the distributors here.
Good.
And I'm going to learn a little bit about how they're operating because I've never been here, like I said, and then I do understand how things work based on my history, my background, and so it's going to be interesting. I'm going to learn, and then we'll be able to assess. So I'm going to spend some time, and we're going to because this is where we're going to launch the market here. Before we even bring it to Chicago, we're going to do it here. It's going to be great. We're going to work some things out here, and it's going to be. I think Atlanta's going to be a great market. I think it's a nice city, and I think it's probably progressive enough.
I do have a strong connection with the liquor industry here.
Good.
I'm sure you heard of Tongue and Groove.
Of course.
Right. Okay. So I was their head of security in undergrad, right, for about 7 years.
Oh my goodness.
And I worked there as a bouncer, as the front door guy.
So a guy with a chemistry engineer is also a bouncer. They don't write that one. So our sister company is Modern Luxury, Jezebel, and the Atlantan. Yeah. So every time they had a party at Tongue and Groove, I used to go hang with them. So I know it well. So the one thing I will say about Atlanta, if I had to give the only piece of advice, and I'm a Yankee, so I'm a New Yorker, so Atlanta is still new to me. The first and most important thing is college football and tailgating.
Yeah.
The number one important thing, if you want to have a spirit brand, understand that those Saturdays are probably more important than Sundays, and you have to build your repertoire. If you can make these packets, like tailgate package, branded with like the team and something where they can bring with them to a tailgate and pour, you win Atlanta, because they want convenience, but they also want to show off in front of their friends. People show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, spend $10,000 for a space to show off to people.
I see what people do on Lake Lanier, and it's kind of the same concept, right? They get on boats, they if only they had a drink that was, premium enough to be able to show off and convenient enough also that they wouldn't have to, take 10 minutes to make a whole drink.
It's that southern lifestyle.
Convenience factor.
It's not the summer here. It's not like Chicago. You got your 100 days of summer. It's July. It's so hot out. Everyone's like, get this over. By August, everyone's like, I'm over summer. They're dying for college football season, and they're dying for really Saturdays in the fall. So, and I think a lot of these flavor palettes really match the fall well. The Paloma's your summer drink, but what we're drinking right now, this screams fall to me.
Yes,
screams fall. It screams fall.
It works in the summer because it is a sour, so it's like some people's palate will enjoy it. But yeah, it is a fall cocktail. Yeah, and I mean we're going to be doing these. So originally we did 6 cocktails, but we're just going to start with the 4 because we don't want to
keep the SKUs down and make it easy
with people.
I agree.
Give people a chance to figure out what direction.
I agree.
And it will give us a chance to go. Wow, we should keep going this direction if this is what people enjoy, and make sure that we're putting the product out there that people want and not just what we want to put out there.
Yeah. What are you most excited about? So we're getting rolling. You have the brand built. I saw the brand kit. I mean, you have the brand built, and that is something that a lot of people do very wrong, is they kind of do the brand kit on the fly. And if you're launching a brand that you believe in, you better have that kit ready to go, because that consistency is as important as anything else in the world is.
I am like OCD about the brand, right? And what...
That's got to be that Moët Hennessy, because I've seen their brand guides and they're
Langham. I mean, the standards are just like, it is not. Everything is. It's not subjective. It's objective. It's what we do. This is what it is to be operating in the luxury space, right? And have anticipatory service, and the way we are and we operate is just, it's how this team does things. It's not how you do things or I do things.
These towels are folded this way. This is your color pad for them. This is this. That's why when you have 7 stars, it's like the trim around the door has something to do with it. These are, like you said, I love that line. It's objective. It's not subjective. This is not open to interpretation. Do this or else is pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, and it's like you have a set of standards and you meet those standards.
Yeah, and because Chad sent me the brand guide, and that is pretty intense for a brand that hasn't launched yet to have such an in-depth guide of what goes where and all that stuff. It's good. I commend you guys for it, because a lot of people do it backwards. But so you've launched your brand. What are you most excited about over the next, call it 6 months?
getting to get out and learn other markets and interact with the consumers in other markets. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I see Wolf and Spirit as something bigger than just a cocktail brand, although it is the cocktail company.
Sure.
I see it as a lifestyle brand, and I think that. Like I said, we're going to be doing the cordials, and I want to do some other things as well with it, and continue to grow that. So, and I'm excited about being able to do that. But just getting it out there and letting people try it.
Yeah.
I've been working on this since 2020. I've not rushed it by any means.
Yeah.
We did the development. We've gotten it right. Before I've even shown it to anybody, I've changed the label 3 times. And it's gotten better and better. And refinement is the name of the game for me. So it's like we're constantly refining it. And when I finally release it to the market, it's going to be perfect. It's the only way to be in it when we're going to keep those standards. And that's what's been fun too, working with Amar. My wife and I did a lot of this together. She gets me. She spent a lot of time with me. She's learned what's acceptable and what's not, and
Sure.
what she can get away with, and what the brand standards are. And Amar has picked it up pretty quickly as well. We've been working together on this for like the last year and a half, and I'd say now it's starting to come together. You can see I can tell how much he's learned over the year just spending time with me.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of back and forth. It's like, what do you think about this? And just
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, and
You
so
gotta
now
give me a sounding
we're
board.
getting everybody to understand what the brand standards are, and it's not what I personally want. It's what it needs to be for it to be in the category we want it to be in, and be able to.
You only get one shot at that. When you launch at that price point, you only get one shot at that, because what people do, if you go too low or too high, you've lost it. You can't start too high and then drop your price, because then you're never premium, and you can't start too low and raise your price, because it takes long to change that price perception in people's mind. So you only get one shot at that, and I've seen that botched before, where people, unless you're sitting there in one of these big brands, right? You remember when Svedka came out, it was like $11 for a bottle of Svedka, and yeah, they sold the crap out of Svedka because it was an $11 bottle of vodka. Then all of a sudden it gets in that $20 range. It's like, who the hell's drinking Svedka? So I don't know why that one just stands out to me. Maybe I just bought a lot of Svedka.
I want to see, I want to see it. I want to see it be a legacy brand. I want this to be something that can live on, and maybe 150 years from now, it's still going. Like
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? It just takes time. It takes time in the details that most people don't even notice. It's things like the layers of the cinnamon, right? That we don't even talk about.
Yeah.
And we're doing it because it's important and it's going to make a difference. Those are the things that are going to separate us. And like I said, we're doing those things without mainly talking about those things. But I think it's we want to stand out, and we want to go the extra mile. We don't want to just say we're going to do it. We want to actually do it. I want to actually put the time in. Like, and if we make a mistake, we go back and we correct the mistake. And if we, those things are important. And so, it's.
I love it. And look, we're going to come back from the break, and we're going to have a little bit of conversation about what we think the liquor industry, the spirit industry looks like over the next couple of years, because I think we'll see how you fit in there. But you've listened to the Marketing Amendment at Extra 106.3, and we'll be right back.